And we're back. We're Shar Tortorello with guest Larry Stein, Oklahoma County Assessor, and my good friend Cam. Carrie's out on assignment tonight, so it's all about Larry tonight. So, Larry, you and I spoke about state question 842. But before we jump into that,
Yeah,
how are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing great. As a matter of fact, the issue is kind of hot. Today, I got a call from the folks over at Channel 4, KFOR, and they wanted to do a little bit about it. So if you are watching Channel 4 at 10 o'clock, or if you want to check it online at kfor.com, you can see the interview we did. It's one of those issues that is very intriguing because it's a little bit misunderstood. And we talked about that, and we were so fortunate to have coffee recently, which was a lot of fun. We ought to do that again sometime.
Yeah, so about a month ago, Larry and I met for coffee and more, and I asked a question, and he gave a thorough explanation of what would happen if we eliminated property taxes, and we'll get to that here a little bit here in the show. But I want to go back to Cam, brother. How are you doing today? How's life as a government
Man, it's
employee?
it's good. Life is good. I feel like we didn't have Christmas or New Year's because we were at 70 degrees last week, and I'm going, this is great. Are we in Florida? Like, what's going on here? So
Yeah.
super excited, super happy. I'm blessed. Family's happy. We're happy. I'm glad I'm here.
You know what's the New Year's show we had and Christmas. Uh, it was weird because again it was 70 degrees, and then I was expecting. Look, I always demand that we get at least 3 inches of snowfall, and we didn't see it this year. I'm okay with it, but it doesn't sound and feel like Christmas. But today was a heavy news day. If you guys followed the citynewsokc.com outlets and the online version, we had an ice shooting in Minneapolis, and what happened was a left wing agitator. Um, they called themselves legal observers. Were trying to impede ICE's authority, and the videos from all angles. So we looked at it, and we published it, and we posted, we discussed it. Apparently, she did not obey law enforcement and attempted to flee. And there was an officer in front of her. And of course, these guys go so much. Um, the anti-ICE folks, the anti-Trump folks are just heavily attacking the ICE officers here. And I think it was a justified shooting, but the investigation is still ongoing. But what was more concerning, Cam, was that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz announced that he was putting out a warning uh, message to the Minnesota Guard to basically be on standby in case they have to be. So this weekend is their weekend drill, and there's a potential and a possibility that he might call up the National Guard in Minnesota to protect Minnesotans from the federal government. Now, we're both military guys. That is not good news for this nation if that happens.
No, I will say, think about this. When you see people talking about violence instead of having, again, the conversation, makes you wonder what's going on, Tim. How come you didn't do that when the riots happened? And now you want to activate National Guard? It is, again, it validates more and more what's going on in his town when people just drive in front of his house and just calls him names because he's not being a smart guy, you know?
Mm-mm, not at all. And fellow journalist Nick Sorter had made a post, and I beat him to it by maybe a second. And do you recall the Summer of Love, the 18 months of Antifa, Black Lives Matter protests that destroyed billions of dollars in insurance, lives lost, property damage, and now we both called it correctly that this is the winter of love. Larry, do you think that what happened in Minneapolis with uh, 3 or 4 years ago and the riots, do you think that we might see the same thing happening here where the left are going to weaponize the riots against ICE and the federal government? And is it possible that we might see the winter of love where we have protests around the nation?
I hope we don't have those kinds of protests. The thing that's going for the those events not happening is that while we are enjoying record high temperatures in Minnesota, the temperatures get to so far below zero. If you're out in the cold for more than a few minutes, the flesh will start melting off of your
Mm,
bones. So
mm-mm.
it's hard to have inside protests, and I don't know if they'll be able to muster much support for those outside because it would be flooding the emergency rooms with treatment for frostbite. But it's sad when you see people vilifying governmental entities, governmental officials that are trying to enforce the laws of the United States of America. And growing up in a military family, I knew a couple of things. First of all, if a police officer stops you, you respect them. And if you are involved on a military base and you do something stupid, it doesn't affect you as much as it affects your
Picture.
family and your parents and your father or your mother's career. And when you grow up that way, the flag means a lot more, patriotism means a lot more, and it makes you respect this country so much, especially the military that do such a wonderful job of protecting us. I often think about the man at the gate because the
Hmm.
man at the gate, when I went into a military base with my dad, he saluted my father as a non-commissioned officer, and I thought, that's the guy, that's the person who's protecting me, the people on that Air Force base that are protecting the world. And it's always meant so much to me to be part of a military family. And if you look at the families that I have that have served on almost every one of the continents, including two different armies, allied armies, those are the things that matter to me a lot. And I find it disheartening that anyone would have such disrespect for law enforcement or our military service members.
Absolutely, I agree with you 1,000%. We both grew up in the military. We're both known as brats in our circles,
Yeah,
and the NCOs, non-commissioned officers, were the backbone of the military. And we grew up differently. I felt that as a military brat in a military family, growing up overseas, our life was different than our stateside peers and cousins and nephews
yeah,
and all the relatives because we were expected and we were, you know, we 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 were held to a higher standard of accountability. And if you got into trouble on the base, it's just not our ass; it is our dad's ass on the line. And
yeah,
when you interfere with our father's um, rank, command structure, um, you often pay for it when you get home. So you and
yeah.
I have grown up the same way. And Cam, even though he didn't join the military, he is a vet, and his family structure was pretty much the same. The three of us all have the similar backgrounds, and you know, Venezuela and Maduro is a topic I was going to talk about tonight because it was a big thing over the weekend. And of course, the news changes so fast. I'm heading back to DC next week for my rotation back to the press house. But this show is about Larry Stein. So, Larry Stein, Oklahoma County Assessor, um, good friend of us, good friend to everybody. I don't know anyone who has a cross word to say about you. Everyone lights up when they see you and they hear your name. For some reason, it's that Maslow theory that they just run to you. I don't know what it is. So tell us, what do you have? What do you have? What's that special ingredient? Now, look, you're like me. We don't consider ourselves politicians, maybe statesmen,
Yeah.
but you are running for re-election for county assessor. But
Yes,
what
sir.
is it like in the job at your office on a daily basis or weekly basis?
I grew up in the media. I was a reporter. I covered the Capitol, and the thing that everybody that I dealt with in my newsroom hated the idea of the Capitol because it wasn't a standard news operation. You never knew what was going to happen at the Capitol. It was always
Mm-hmm.
new ideas, new events, things that came out of nowhere. It was like riding a tiger, which was extremely exciting. I enjoyed the heck out of that. But some people don't like that. I was covering courtrooms, I was covering the state capitol, I was covering the state, everything that was out there that had to do with politics. I was the government reporter, and it was so much fun and exciting. And being growing up in a military family, I knew that there was good government. And that's what I appreciated, because the one thing that I didn't mention earlier is I don't know if people can understand the significance of growing up on a military base and at 5 o'clock when
Hopefully.
the retreat is played and you're stopped, everything stops on the base. The national anthem plays, everyone faces command headquarters and has their hand on their heart. That's the way I grew up. And when I'm going out to cover the Capitol, where all of these people who are elected officials, who I admire for being able to be there and leading and being that A-type personality trying to get things done for the good of the state and the good of the national government, those are the people I respect. And
Hmm.
being able to be a part of not not coloring what they were doing with a different shade of, you're a Republican, I don't like you, or you're a Democrat, I don't like you, but just
Very true.
reporting the facts, just
Yep.
letting them say, I see some of these Sunday shows and I say, okay, Margaret, why are you so ticked off at these people? And how come you don't treat everybody the same way? If you're fortunate enough to have the Secretary of State on, who's doing a magnificent job, I don't think you want to sit there and get him upset with you because he's trying to explain things to you the way things are. And if Jake Tapper is trying to get into an argument with Marco Rubio about a nuance of something to do with the foreign policy, which is now the Don Roe doctrine, I'm
Yes.
thinking you need to listen more. You remember God gave us one mouth and two ears. You might want to open up the ears, Jake, because that's what's important. They're imparting information out of the goodness of their heart. They showed up on your program. What a fortuitous event.
Yeah. No, Larry,
Absolutely.
hey, so when we talk about, all your experience, all the jobs you've done, everything,
Yeah.
what is one of your favorite I guess memories when you were at the Capitol that you could go, hey, you know what? I enjoyed this, or hey, this is my favorite memory.
One of the things that I got to do was cover the county commissioner scandal. And I was telling my county commissioner friends just today that for the longest time, county government, which I'm a part of, they have been thrown under the bus by many people who said, you know what? The largest corruption scandal in the United States history was what happened in Oklahoma with the county commissioner scandal. And I called up my commissioner friends today and I said, not anymore. The largest public corruption scandal is in the state of Minnesota. And what happened there is a tragedy. It should never have happened. And when we talk about what happens now in county government, you can talk about what happened with the construction of the county jail in Oklahoma County 35 years ago. You can talk about the county commissioner scandal that happened 45 years ago, but that's 45 years ago. Now it's 2026. We've got to move on and start doing the right thing and figuring out which way we're going to go, because we can't go backwards anymore.
Absolutely. That's an accurate thought. Um, we want to talk about bring us up to date on State Question 842. So we talked
Okay.
about this about a month ago. So you had now I was going to have a conversation with you, but it ended up totally different because you explained it so well as to why this would probably hurt Oklahoma County and the state of Oklahoma. So can you summarize it first about what they're asking for, and then I want to hear your thoughts on why this petition is not a good idea.
Probably the most misunderstood issue in the whole state of Oklahoma is property tax. That many people don't understand that the property owners across the state receive one bill, but that bill reflects multiple governments and multiple value calculations. The job of the county assessor and the job of counties, we are doing all of the technical and legal work when we're discovering the property. We're setting the values of the property. We're applying the limits and all the exemptions. We're calculating the millage rates, the tax roll, all of these things. But the vast majority of those tax dollars don't go to fund county government. And I think that too many people think that they get a
Hmm.
property tax bill. and they don't understand that the county is going to get about 10 cents out of every dollar from that property tax bill, while cities, towns, communities, all sorts of entities are getting the majority of that property tax. So consequently, if you look at what's going to happen or what the proposal is, we're looking at trying to build a new jail, and everybody says, well, with all that property tax money going to the county, you should have plenty of money. Well, that money's not going to the county. We're getting less than 10 cents. In fact, cities and towns in Oklahoma County get more of the property tax dollar than Oklahoma County does. But the bottom line is you're talking about a 20% cut for public education in Oklahoma County. And I'm looking at some of the big schools in Oklahoma County. It's $38 million that'll be taken out of the Edmond Public Schools if this comes to pass. We've got $6 million out of the Middale. We've got $23 million out of the Oklahoma City Public Schools. And then we've got another $39 million that'll be taken out of the tech centers. Now remember, we're trying to get every engineer we can and every qualified electrician and technician out of our technology centers so they can go work at the new and growing aviation industry in Oklahoma. You're going to cut $39 million out of just Oklahoma County. That's just the Oklahoma County tech centers. And then you're going to take about $58 million out of Oklahoma County's budget. We don't have a budget that's big to be able to absorb that. We're talking about a $140 million budget currently, and we have to run things like the constitutionally mandated jail. So the proposal is just homestead properties are going to be affected. It's not an elimination of property taxes. The property tax currently raises about $5.7 billion in Oklahoma. It's the largest revenue source. It's bigger than sales tax. It's bigger than income tax. Property taxes in Oklahoma County represent nearly 25% of the entire state's ad valorem budget that funds schools. So you're talking about a huge cut, and the problem is the legislature. Some legislators are saying, well, this is a responsible program because it gives the opportunity for local governments to replace that tax, that lost revenue.
Wait, are you
Wait
saying
a
that the
minute.
petition? Wait. To clarify that,
Yeah.
are you saying the petition, if it does pass and needs on a ballot, it will do what? Or are you saying that we already have a process?
Yeah.
Clarify. Yeah.
It will reduce the property that it will reduce the operational dollars that go to education, public education,
Right.
and to county government. And the idea is that over a 3-year period, those local entities, the schools and the counties, will have an opportunity to go to the citizens of those counties and raise new taxes to replace those taxes. We already have a plan to do that. We've got a current system. And remember, when we're looking at what happens with the ad valorem system in this current year, in the issue of all of the people who paid property taxes last year in the entire state of Oklahoma, the assessors and the legislature and the people of the state of Oklahoma have created a huge amount of tax savings. Statewide last year, where property taxes are probably among the lowest in the country, if not the lowest, last year, all of the property owners in the state of Oklahoma saved $1.7 billion in property tax cuts. In Oklahoma County alone, just Oklahoma County, the citizens who own property saved $400 million in property tax cuts. How much lower can we go?
Yeah.
I
Larry,
mean,
can I ask you a question?
you bet.
When we're talking about all this, I feel like what you're trying to explain is that even if we pass this, it's gonna contradict a lot of the Oklahoma statutory laws. So how is that gonna? I guess is it just one law or is it several laws? And does it have a vote requirement? Do you know?
Well,
Hey,
there's
Cam.
probably, sorry.
Hey, hold on, Cam. We got a caller, so hang on a second. Caller. Caller. Your name and location.
That's the
This is
financial diva.
Victoria.
Oh, it's Victoria Wood. Oh, look at this, Victoria. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
We're doing fine. Thank you for calling into the show. it's a good thing you did because Victoria is going to be the guest on next week's podcast, and we're talking to Larry Stein. I don't know if you had a question for him, but she has a new book out, and I was wondering if you can tell us um, the one thing we need to know, a little teaser about the new financial year and what your book
Mm.
is about.
Well, first of all, hello, Larry. How are you doing, my friend?
Hi, I'm doing great. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you too. I have to tell you, I love when you're out in the mornings going to coffee somewhere in the state and you get on your little camera and you start, shooting video about where you're going, what you're doing. I love it. I do love it.
I'm
I
so
enjoy
happy
that
you
so much.
do. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, wait, Larry, I really wish you'd get a little passionate about any topic.
Yeah, I know.
Is
I know people want me to get out of my shell. I'm trying to get out
yeah.
of my shell if I can.
Well, you're doing a good job of it. So yeah. Well, Ricard, yes, I do have my newest book, second edition of It's All About the Money, Honey. We'll be talking about that next Wednesday night, correct?
Correct.
It's next Wednesday, which is the 15th, I think.
14th.
14.
14th, 15th, whatever.
14th.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll be very excited. I'll be talking on my show tomorrow, Larry, just so you know, I'm going to give you a heads up. I'm going to be talking about our online pay system for our ad valorem tax.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you're not going to
That's
want
not
to hear
mine.
what I have to say.
That's not mine. I don't take any money. That's somebody else's website. That's the treasurer,
That
not the assessor.
yes,
I don't
and it
collect
is
taxes. That's
outrageous.
the treasurer. I
Well,
understand
it's
there
a
were
good
some
thing you're
concerns
on
about it.
tonight because yes, because I would be scaling you, peeling your skin off tomorrow because it's absolutely outrageous. It is raping the people. It is unbelievable. The cost of just paying your bill online. So I'm telling everyone, don't do it no matter what. And I'm going to tell them why tomorrow. So you're off the hook now, Larry. I'll tell them, don't call Larry.
Fantastic.
Do not call Larry. But next week, we will be talking about the things that everyone should be thinking about going into this new year. There's so much opportunity, which is just phenomenal, and you should take advantage of it while you can. However, we do see people getting a little over what I would call confident. I like to stay even keel. So we'll be talking about that next week and about the things that the top three things that you really should be doing. We'll be talking about my book. It's all about the money, honey. This is a go-to read. It'll teach you everything you need to know. And also, Rashard, why don't we talk about giving away to your listeners? We'll do a free audio because I have a radio studio, as Larry knows, I know, in my office. And I did the book I did 6 chapters. So we should give that away to anybody that is listening next week and comes in. So,
I love that idea. So we'll talk
okay.
to you next week. And thank you for calling onto the show. It's always lovely to see you and your face and your
Oh,
beautiful smile.
thank you. Oh, thank you, Rashard. Appreciate it. Thanks,
You're
guys.
welcome.
Great show.
Hi.
Bye.
Thank you for all y'all do for everything that y'all do for Oklahoma. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
What a surprise and what a great lady.
Yeah, good
She
surprise.
she is awesome. But sorry to interrupt that call. So
Quite
go
all
ahead
right.
and finish your thought and your question, Cam.
Yeah. Hey, so Larry, when you were explaining to us about all the movements within this state question, is that going to contradict statutory laws? Is it one, many, and or is there going to be like a voting within the House and the state requirement? Like, how is that going to work, Larry?
Well, the estimate is from the legal experts that know the ad valorem law in Title 10 and Title 68. They're estimating there could be between maybe 5 to 12 to 17 different constitutional amendments required to be able to implement some of the changes that they're talking about. One of the big ones is, you have to have a qualified system to fund education across the state. If you're trying to disrupt that and say the local county will raise taxes at the local county and will fund local public education in that county, we can't do that. We have a school funding formula in the state of Oklahoma where the money goes into a pot. And if you have $20,000 per student in a school district and another school district has 18 or $8,000 per student, there's a funding formula that makes up that difference. The exaggeration of $20,000, it doesn't get that high, but they have to equalize that amount because every child in the state of Oklahoma is guaranteed to have an educational experience that is fair and is equitable to be able to pay an adequate amount to be able to bring those students into a class and be able to educate them. And you can't take money away from other school districts and then just keep them in your own county. That's against what the Brown versus Board of Education decision was all about. And Oklahoma we're going to have to follow the law. And sadly, and I think the big, and we talked about this when we had coffee. The
Right.
dilemma is that we have in Oklahoma a term limits on our legislators. When I was in the legislature, there were experts, someone who had information and an expertise regarding ad valorem, road building, tax policy, all of these different things. And now, because of the term limits, we have people that may not be as familiar with the ad valorem system as a whole and the impact that
Mm-hmm.
small changes can have on the largest source of revenue that does the most important thing that our founders have agreed to do, educate our children, because they want to educate kids. They don't want to incarcerate kids. And we need to do everything we can to promote education because we've got a growing industry in the aviation industry. It's coming up number
Mm-hmm.
two or in our state. It's getting to
Right.
the point where it may supersede energy and oil and gas. We need those aviation engineers. We need the how can we train the next generation of people in Oklahoma? Or do we just want to say, hey guys, and last person that leaves Oklahoma, turn the lights off?
Absolutely. Hey, I've got a question. Um, this is what I get asked all the time. So you buy a house,
Yeah,
but you don't own it. Say you pay it off. And most people that would probably sign the petition have the same problem. The same question is that, why should I? So I buy the house and say I paid it off in 18 years or 12 years, whatever, and
yeah,
however my mortgage was configured. Why do
right.
I still have to pay the county and the state, with the county, taxes on something that I already own? That's going to be the
Well,
biggest pushback.
yeah, well, and let's talk about that. Okay, I've heard Governor DeSantis say, when I buy a big screen TV, I pay a sales tax, and then I don't ever have to pay a tax on that TV anymore. But Governor, guess what? If you don't have electricity delivered to your house, that's going to be a very expensive wall hanging that won't provide anything because you don't have any electricity. How do you think the electricity gets to your house? How do you think the water gets into your faucet? How do you think the flushing of your toilet works when you crank that little dial down? Does it to get rid of the sewage? Or when you want to have trash pickup? Those are and by the way, if you have a guy that wants to kill you at your front door and he's got a gun, what are you going to do when you call the sheriff's office? Do you not want to have police protection? Because if you want to create your own electricity system, your own
Mm-hmm.
sewage system, your own water, your own electricity, your own natural gas, and your own security, your own fire department, and everything else that you expect to get from your property taxes, that's where your property taxes go. I think that people think, well, gosh, that's just money that somebody puts into a hole and they burn it. No, the property tax is what makes the wheels go round and round. It is the basis of society in every metropolitan city and every rural city across the state of Oklahoma. And in many counties, in probably 60 to 65 counties across the state of Oklahoma, that's the only government that many people have. And remember, when we have a natural disaster, I always think of it, they talk about first responders. Well, the first responders are county government officials. They're the ones that are cleaning the road with a bulldozer. They're the ones that have the sheriff's deputies out there to protect looting and protect and find the survivors. That's what your property tax goes to. And I think that so many people have lost that. They just think it goes to schools. Well, it does. But that
Hmm.
school is probably the foundation of your local community as well.
Hey, we've got another caller stand by. Caller, go ahead. Name, location, question for Larry
Hello,
Stein.
yes, thanks for taking my question. This is kind of big. I purchased my first home last year, and over the last few years, excuse me, there are some criminals who have circumvented the school board, school systems, and please forgive me for using the term pedophile, but the massive lawsuits that are coming from the criminals uh, are impacting our property taxes, like what happened in Ninica, and there's a mass exodus out of that town. People who've been there for years are having to sell out and move. Are there any protections being spoken about for the property taxpayers?
Well, that's a very interesting question because when you're talking about what happens in communities when there's a lawsuit that is brought against the school board, or if there's anything that's brought against the school district, or if there's a police officer, sadly, that may get into a car wreck and they may kill someone in a car wreck, or if a fire truck kills someone, everyone has the ability of being able to get their justice for that loss. And if they go to district court, and they have a judgment against the school board or the county or the fire department or the police department, that money is paid through a judgment, which is one of the biggest fears we have in Oklahoma County because we have a jail. And we are extremely concerned about the possibility, and this happens across the country, where a court can be involved, a federal district court, Department of Justice could come in and demand that and say to the courts, we believe that a jail is unconstitutional. It does not provide the legal requirements of a jail. If that happens in Oklahoma County or another county, there could be a judge that would look to their friends on each coast and figure out how much is it going to cost to build a brand new 3,000 possibility of population jail. And if you're going to build a new arena for a sports team that costs $1 billion, I would expect building 1,000 secure cells in Oklahoma County, just 1,000. I would expect you to probably get pretty close to $1 billion because we're trying to build a jail in Oklahoma County for about $800 million. So let's say a judge with just a bang of the gavel says, Oklahoma County, go build a brand new jail. I expect you to build it for 3,000 because you're growing, your population's growing, you're an internationally recognized big league city, you've got a professional
Mm-hmm.
world champion basketball team. Oh, and by the way, you're also having the Olympics coming in a couple of years. You may have a lot of people that may be reveling a little bit too much and they may need to space in the jail. So go build a $3 billion jail. And we're going to say, Judge, we don't have that money. He says, oh, yeah, you do. You can go raise a judgment against all the property owners in the county. That's why the county commissioners are suggesting a sales tax, a countywide sales tax. Oklahoma County is the only county in Oklahoma that doesn't have a fractional less than a penny fractional sales tax for the operation and maintenance of a jail. And the commissioners are intrigued and wanting to find some way of being able to maintain and also build our new jail with revenue that all of the exemptions, those $400 million that we're saving in property tax cuts this year, those are the monies that we don't get anymore. And when you talk about the funding of county government, we're incrementally increasing our budget while the constitutional mandates and the mandates from the state of Oklahoma, we have to add 2 more judges to our repertoire of judges at the county. The demand is from the Supreme Court, go build 2 new judges' courtrooms. It's not a question, it's a demand. When we talk
Mm-hmm.
about the county jail, we have to run it. The Constitution demands there be a county jail. We have to operate and maintain it, and it has to be safe because for the majority of those people, they're not guilty of anything. They've just been charged. They're innocent until proven guilty, and we need to protect their safety as much as any other citizen on the street of Oklahoma County.
Larry, so you're telling me that a non-elected official can have an impact in Oklahoma County
Mm.
without any recourse? How can we keep you and other elected officials, reelected? Like, tell us about your campaign.
Well, I have tried very hard to make sure that people know what the assessor's office does, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that most don't. I mean, they look at a property tax bill, and I'm encouraging them everywhere I go, trying to let them understand that they should flip the bill. In our treasurer's office in Oklahoma County, we have all of the apportionment of where that money goes. And people, you can get to it through our website. And if you want to call me, I'll be happy to run you through it at 405-713-1201. But when you look at what happens in cities across the county, I've got cities like Gaylordia, Oak Tree, Nichols Hills. In Nichols Hills, it's one of the highest millage rates in the county and in the state of Oklahoma. And what they have currently for their property taxes, they have a 6,000 an average of about 60 mills that are going to the city of Nichols Hills. A typical bill, and this is kind of hard for people to fathom. You're talking about a house that may be worth probably $3.5 million, but
Right.
that's huge. They have a $27,000 property tax bill. And I'm looking at the numbers. The city of Nichols Hills, the voters of Nichols Hills, they have passed a property tax for Nichols Hills for $6,200 of that property tax bill. They voted on that, 60% of their votes. They passed that tax. Then they have an additional career tech property tax and an Oklahoma City school tax of $12,000. So nearly $18,000 of that property tax bill is going to entities that don't have anything to do with the county. The county's portion that we're supposed to be able to operate all of county government on, they're paying $2,100, which is about a 10%, which is about what the entire county gets out of every property tax dollar in the entire county collected. And I don't know if you know many nonprofits that spend less than 10 cents on donuts for what they do. And we're operating the entire county. We've had big money people come in and say, "Hey, I'll bet you I can find all sorts of waste and savings in your jail." I said, "What's the budget?" And they say about $140 million. They say, "Well, gosh, we ought to be able to find some ways of saving money in the jail if with a $140 million budget." They say, no, that's not the budget for the jail. That's the budget for the entire county. And they say, "How do you operate a county and a jail on $140 million? We pay people to put a large basketball into a slightly larger hoop, more than that, to run a basketball team." So, we need
Hey,
to be realistic.
I agree. And I want to thank Larry Stein for coming on the show today. You're a stand-up guy. Come on anytime. You give me a call, give Cam a call. And I want to thank you for tonight. Next week, we have, on the 14th, we have Victoria Woods, the financial diva for Edmond, talking about what women need, and men too, to prepare for 2026 and their financial needs. On the 21st of January, we have Dr. John Cox. He's running for state superintendent, and he's got a message that he wants to share with our audience. And for you guys watching tonight and the replay tomorrow, I appreciate you listening. We have some great milestone numbers to promote, Cam. We are nearing 13,000 followers on this page, and that is a phenomenal growth from 6 months. Growth, they'd like to see the messages. And for people that don't know, Larry, we have a whole new system that we can show text messages from people who respond after the broadcast. And we'd like to keep this Oklahoma focus with some national attention. But there's a lot of information, there's a lot of things going on in Oklahoma that we just want to share good news. It's not always bad, always not negative, but people want to hear the positive of Oklahoma government, business, and our community. And so that's why people are tuning in, they're sharing this. And Larry, again, anytime you want to come on, just give me the call. Anything you want to share with us, you're more than welcome to come back. Cam, brother, you have any last words before we go?
Hey, Larry, as always, you're an amazing public servant. Thank you for all the work you do. Thank you for being there.
I appreciate you guys so much for
You,
having me.
you,
Thank
you
you
know,
very
Larry, I want
much.
to say that you're also an extra amazing dude, an individual human being. I didn't want to be outdone by Cam here, so Cam, you gonna say one more thing to outdo me? No, do it. Say one more thing.
One more thing, Larry. Hey, don't stop. And if you need any help with anything, call me. I will help you a million times. Again, you do a great job. I will give you 10 stars if it was a rating of 5. I appreciate you.
You guys are the best.
Abs-
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good
Good night.
night.